Continuing with the Star Wars Darth Vader Dark Lord of the Sith series, I turn the page to issue 2. Vader is heading towards a Jedi outpost called Brightholm. We open up on some clone troopers holding Jedi possessions. They're talking about the Purge, talking about how there will be more enemies to fight in the future. And one of the clones says he heard the cloning facilities on Kamino were being shut down. Vader approaches the station in his ship, decides not to give the landing codes, which the droid that is in the ship with him offered up. I guess he just wants to fight the clones. I guess he's just pissed off at everyone at this moment. So he flies on in. The people guarding the base start attacking Vader, and Vader kills all of them. The clones are ready to fight as soon as Vader lands. They actually don't know who it is. They don't know Darth Vader. Nobody really knows who Darth Vader is at this moment, right? Except for the Emperor, right? Huh. The clones are hauling and protecting Jedi equipment, weaponry, and artifacts. And one of them says that maybe this is their opportunity to impress the Emperor. They even mention maybe they'll one day be able to wear the red helmets and stand next to the man. And it's kind of funny, everyone is always trying to butter up to the Emperor, the big man on the totem pole, tip top of the chain of command. I'm actually reading Thrawn right now, and it's the same there as it is here. Everyone wants to get in the dear leader's good grace. I like the interaction between these two clones. You know, they've been hunting Jedi and their time is actually coming to an end. They're probably not going to fight any longer. Yet they're still trying to impress. Vader comes in with a violent entrance that reminds me of the ferocity scene at the end of Rogue One. Only now he's slaughtering clone troopers. At the very beginning of this issue, a clone trooper was actually playing with a lightsaber, kind of goofing around. And that is the lightsaber that Vader ends up with during this scene. See, Vader is looking for information on any surviving Jedi. Jedi that took the, and I've never heard this pronounced. In fact, this is the first time I think this is ever mentioned in Star Wars lore and new canon for sure. But Jedi that took the Barash vow, I believe is pronounced, before the Purge. The Barash vow is an oath taken by Jedi who completely refrain from all activities related to the Jedi Order as a form of penitence. A Barash vow taker would disengage from everything but the Force itself. And according to the droid that Vader is talking to in this issue, since the founding of the Jedi Order, 14,000 Jedi have taken this Barash vow. And since the Jedi have been all but purged, Vader seems to think that a Barash taker would have refrained from responding to the Purge. It's an interesting concept, and it's kind of more like, the way I view it in my own head is the writers just kind of opening themselves up for more Jedi lightsaber swinging interesting stories. You know, once the Purge happens, it kind of frees them up to have a little more of that in the Star Wars universe in this time frame. You know what I mean? Anyway, it's an interesting concept. I love this little nugget of information. And like I said, this kind of opens up an entirely new direction these stories can take. You know, folks who were technically Jedi but took this oath, like a monk or someone on a silent retreat trying to repent and find themselves. So with this concept now in canon, and maybe there was something similar in Legends that I'm not familiar with, there could be a ton of Jedi still out there after the Purge, and like I said, it just kind of opens them up. I can just see a writer just putting this in there and going, okay, now we can do whatever we want. So a grenade is thrown at Vader. He stops it in midair, and it kind of reminds me of when somebody is holding a pin on a grenade, trying to prevent it from going off. It's a neat little panel. All in all, Vader gets out of the sticky situation with ease and then asks if the droid has found any hits in the search for one of the Barash-taking Jedi. And the droid did find someone. A guy who took the vow before Vader ever came to the Jedi Temple, so there's no chance of them ever running into one another. And this particular guy has been on his own pilgrimage for a long time. His name is Kurak. Once again, another name I've never heard pronounced. He hasn't been active in Jedi affairs since he took the vow. And the droid said Kurak never participated in any diplomacy or training or research. The only thing he was ever trained for was to fight. So we have this big bad Jedi on the page that Vader is going to eventually have to contend with. This issue is interesting just really for the information about the vow, about the pilgrimage, about the atonement that some Jedi sometimes will seek out through the Barash vow. I find it pretty interesting, certainly taken out of the pages of some real world religious practices. And you know, this Barash vow is kind of like that after the fact minutia that I've made a video about, that I've talked about for a long time, right? Everyone gets so bent out of shape not knowing the intricate details, the tiny whys in between what we see. And this Barash vow kind of gives even more context to Luke's self-imposed isolation. Not that we needed any more context, but it is interesting, and I'm really loving this series so far. My favorite panel in this issue is this one, and really just because I'm a sucker for these long profile shots in movies, comics, illustrations, anything. The long stretch, the panoramic view almost. Anyway, HelloGreedo, out.